Hello, and welcome to Ladies and Gentlemen, of course. Here's your expanded segment in a seamless conversational tone, maintaining alignment with the speech's theme. Discipline is everything. It's the foundation, the backbone, the very thing that separates the ones who win from the ones who lose. Every single person who has ever achieved something great in life has one thing in common. They showed up every day, no matter what. No excuses, no hesitation. Just action. There's this idea people have that success comes when you feel like working, when motivation strikes, when the conditions are perfect. That's a lie. Winners don't wait for the perfect moment. They don't check how they're feeling that day to decide if they should put in the work. When they wake up and they get it done. Period. That's the difference between those who talk about success and those who live it. You see, the average person lets life dictate their effort. They have a bad day, and suddenly, everything falls apart. Maybe they're tired, maybe they're stressed, maybe things didn't go their way. So what? The world doesn't stop because you don't feel like working. The bills don't stop coming. The competition doesn't stop moving. And your goals don't get any closer just because you decided to take a break. Working. The ones who make it, the ones who rise to the top, they understand that discipline is not a choice. It's a way of life. Imagine this. You go to the gym once and expect to be strong. You read one book and expect to be wise. You work hard for a week and expect success. It doesn't work like that. It's about showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not. It's about building habits that become so ingrained in who you are that missing a day isn't even an option. Because the second you make excuses, the second you allow yourself to slack, that's when you start losing. Think about it. If you're a fighter and you take one day off, does your opponent take a day off? No. If you're building a business and you decide to sleep in, do your competitors stop working? No. If you want to be the best, you have to act like it. And that means every day you wake up and you put in the work. Not because you feel like it, not because you're in the mood, but because it's what needs to be done. People love to say they don't have time. Oh, I was busy. Oh, I had things to do. Let me tell you something. Everyone has time for what they make a priority. If it matters, you'll find a way. If it doesn't, you'll find an excuse, and excuses are the quickest way to failure. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're bored, if you're unmotivated. Discipline is about looking in the mirror and saying, I will not lose today. Here's the truth. Success doesn't come to the most talented, the smartest, or the luckiest. It comes to the ones who refuse to miss a day. The ones who put in the hours when no one is watching. The ones who don't need motivation because they have discipline. The ones who understand that every single day is another step closer to greatness. So ask yourself, are you willing to show up, even when you don't feel like it? Are you willing to put in the work, even when no one's clapping for you? Are you willing to be the person who never misses a day? Because that's what it takes. And if you're not willing to do that, someone else is. And they will win. Mindset is everything. It's the foundation of success, the difference between those who rise and those who fall. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even resources. It's how you think, how you approach life, how you respond when things don't go your way. That's what separates the weak from the strong, the average from the exceptional. Most people lose before they even start, not because they aren't capable, but because they don't believe they are. They walk around defeated, doubting themselves, waiting for permission, waiting for the right circumstances. They let fear control them. They let negativity eat away at their potential. And that's why they never make it. Because success isn't about what happens to you, it's about how you respond. True respond. You ever notice how some people go through the worst situations and still come out on top? They lose everything, they fail, they get knocked down, but somehow they get back up. They rebuild, they fight harder. They refuse to quit. And then there are others who crumble at the first sign of struggle. The moment things get tough, they fold. The difference? Mindset. One sees obstacles as challenges to overcome. The other sees them as reasons to stop. You have to understand, life doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your fears. It's going to test you, push you, hit you with everything it's got. And if your mind isn't strong, you will break. You will give up, and you will lose. But if you train yourself to think like a winner, if you develop the kind of mindset that refuses to accept defeat, nothing can stop you. That's what separates the best from the rest. The winners don't complain about how hard it is. They embrace it. They don't waste time crying about what they can't control. They focus on what they can. They don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, how do I overcome this? Because they understand that every challenge, every setback, every failure is just another opportunity to grow stronger. People want to succeed, but they don't want to struggle. They want the rewards, but they don't want the sacrifices. They want the title, but they don't want to fight for it. And that's why they stay stuck, because they don't realize that struggle is part of the process. It's not something to avoid. It's something to embrace. It's how you develop resilience. It's how you become unstoppable. You have to train your mind the same way you train your body. You have to feed it the right things: confidence, discipline, belief. You have to guard it against weakness, doubt, negativity, excuses, because your mind will either be your greatest weapon or your biggest enemy. And if you let the wrong thoughts in, if you let fear dictate your actions, if you let failure define you, you will never reach your full potential. So you have a choice. You can think like the rest of the world, soft, weak, afraid to take risks, or you can develop the mindset of a winner, a mindset that doesn't break under pressure, a mindset that doesn't accept mediocrity, a mindset that refuses to quit. Because once you master your mind, you master your life. And when that happens, there's nothing that can stand in your way. Hard work isn't optional. It's not something you do when you feel like it. It's not something you squeeze in when it's convenient. It's the price of success. And if you're not willing to pay it, you don't deserve the rewards. That's the truth. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants the lifestyle, the respect, the freedom, but very few are willing to do what it takes to get there. They like the idea of winning, but they don't like the grind. And that's exactly why most people never make it. You see, in this world, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. And the ones who rise to the top, they don't take shortcuts. They don't wait around hoping for an opportunity. They create their own. They outwork everybody. They show up early, stay late, and put in more effort than the next person. That's why they win. That's why they dominate. Because while everybody else is sleeping, making excuses, or talking about what they're going to do, they're actually doing it. The problem is, most people want guarantees. They want to know that if they put in the work, success is guaranteed. Let me tell you something. There are no guarantees. There's no promise that if you grind for years, you'll make it. But I can promise you this. If you don't put in the work, if you don't push yourself beyond your limits, you will fail. That's a fact. The ones who succeed are the ones who commit to the process, no matter what. They don't stop when they're tired. They don't slow down when it gets hard. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They just work. Some people look at the greats and think, they got lucky. No, they didn't. You don't get lucky at the top. You don't stumble into success, you earn it. Every single one of them put in hours that nobody saw. They sacrificed. They bled for it. They missed parties. They worked through the pain. They stayed focused when distractions came knocking. That's the price. And most people aren't willing to pay it. They want the money, but they don't want the late nights. They want the respect, but they don't want to put in years of unnoticed effort. They want the rewards, but they don't want the grind. And that's why they stay average. That's why they never break through. Because they think hard work is optional, something you can turn on and off whenever you feel like it. But the ones who make it, they know better. They know that success is built one day at a time, with sweat, with discipline, with relentless effort. You got to ask yourself, are you really working as hard as you can? Or are you just working hard enough to feel like you deserve success? Because there's a difference. The ones who dominate, push past what's comfortable, they do more than what's expected. They don't count hours. They don't look for easy routes. They just outwork everyone. And because of that, they win. So the question is simple. Are you going to be one of them? Or are you going to be like everybody else? Talking, wishing, waiting. The choice is yours. But just know, in this life, you don't get what you want. You get what you work for. Strength isn't just about how much weight you can lift. It's not just about how fast you can run or how good you look in the mirror. Real strength, the kind that separates winners from losers, is a combination of the body and the mind. Because if your body is strong but your mind is weak, you will fall. And if your mind is powerful but your body is failing, you won't last. You need both. You need to build yourself into a machine, someone who can endure, someone who can push through pain, someone who can take hit after hit and keep moving forward. Most people think strength is about genetics, about luck, about some natural talent. It's not. Strength is built, it's earned, it's developed through years of discipline, suffering, and pushing yourself past the limits your mind tries to set for you. The body doesn't want to work. The mind doesn't want to suffer. But the strongest people in this world, the ones who dominate, the ones who never lose, they understand that growth only happens through resistance. You don't get stronger by staying comfortable. You don't develop toughness by taking it easy. You build yourself in the moments when you want to quit, but don't. You ever see somebody who's at the top of their game? A champion, a leader, someone who commands respect the second they walk in the room? That's not an accident. That's not just something they were born with. That's built through years of discipline, years of waking up early, training when they didn't feel like it, pushing their minds and bodies to places most people will never go. Because the truth is, the world doesn't care about how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're sore, if you're having a bad day. The world only respects results. And results come from strength. The strength to push past pain, to outlast the competition, to keep fighting even when everything in you wants to stop. Most people quit when things get hard. Their mind tells them, this is too much. Their body begs them to stop, and they listen. But the ones who are truly built different, they go further. They train their minds to ignore the weakness. They train their bodies to endure what others can't. And that's why they succeed. Because when everyone else quits, they keep going. You have to ask yourself, what kind of strength are you building? Are you just lifting weights and thinking that's enough? Are you just reading motivational quotes and calling it mental toughness? Or are you really testing yourself every day? Because if you're not pushing past your limits, you're not growing. If you're not suffering, you're not getting stronger. You have to embrace the pain, embrace the exhaustion, embrace the struggle, because that's where champions are made. Everybody wants to be powerful, but not everybody wants to go through what it takes to get there. Everybody wants confidence, but they don't want to suffer for it. Everybody wants respect, but they don't want to do the work that earns it. Strength is built when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is telling you to keep going. It's built when you push yourself past what you thought was possible. So the question is, are you building strength? Real strength, or are you just pretending? Because when life tests you, when things get hard, when everything is on the line, that's when the truth comes out. And in that moment, you'll know if you're truly built for this or if you've just been playing the game. Excuses are the enemy of success. They're the little lies people tell themselves to feel better about not putting in the work. They're the soft whispers that say, it's okay to take it easy. You deserve a break. You'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into next year. And before you know it, you're standing in the same place, wondering why nothing has changed. It's because excuses kill progress. They stop you from becoming the person you're meant to be. And if you keep making them, you'll never reach the top. You ever notice how the most successful people never complain? They never talk about how tired they are, how unfair life is, how difficult the journey has been. They just get it done. Meanwhile, the ones who never make it are always talking. Oh, I would have done it, but I was busy. Wanted to, but something came up. They always have a reason, always have a story, always have some excuse for why they couldn't show up, why they didn't push through, why they never made it. And the worst part, they actually believe it. But life doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't care that you were tired, that you had a rough day, that things didn't go as planned. The world moves on with or without you. The ones who succeed are the ones who understand that. They show up no matter what. They get up early even when they don't feel like it. They train when they're tired. They work when they're stressed. They find solutions instead of making excuses. That's why they win. That's why they're at the top. Most people say they want success, but what they really mean is they want it if it's easy. They want it if they don't have to struggle. They want it if they don't have to sacrifice. But the moment it gets hard, the moment they have to actually push themselves beyond what's comfortable, they start looking for a way out. That's why most people never make it. Not because they're not talented, not because they're not smart, but because they allow themselves to quit. You see, excuses don't just stop you from winning. They make you weak. Every time you let yourself off the hook, every time you justify being lazy, every time you tell yourself it's okay to quit just this once, you lose a little bit of your power. And before you know it, quitting becomes a habit. Laziness becomes a lifestyle. Weakness becomes who you are. But the ones who refuse to make excuses, they get stronger. Every time they push through when they don't feel like it, they build discipline. And in this world, only the ones who stay in the race ever get to the finish line. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one thing. Who's willing to show up, put in the work, and refuse to quit? Success isn't a mystery. It's not reserved for the lucky or the talented. It belongs to those who have the right mindset, the discipline to grind every day, and the strength to push through pain and failure. It belongs to those who don't make excuses, who don't waste time, who wake up every morning with a clear purpose and attack their goals like their life depends on it. Most people will never make it because they won't commit to the process. They'll talk about what they want, but never do what it takes. They'll wait for motivation, look for shortcuts, and quit the moment things get tough. But the ones who win, they never miss a day. They don't wait for the perfect time. They make every time the right time. They don't hope for success. They create it. So the choice is yours. Keep making excuses, keep wasting time, keep living like you've got forever. Or step up, lock in, and give everything you've got. Because in the end, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for.